Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing today? Welcome to First
Earthlings.
Contact
How you doing
Radio.
today? Welcome to First Contact Radio.
To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
That's it. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here. Let's look at what we're dealing with today. Today is the 31st of the month, last day of March. We're moving on. Things are just moving fast this year. They certainly are. So we're here at the last day of March. We have a sun sign in Aries and a moon sign in Virgo. So we know that Aries is the emperor. Aries is the emperor, the one who sets things in order. Virgo, the moon sign, is an earth sign, and Virgo is the hermit. The hermit is the last of the single numbers, number 9. So it tells us that something is beginning to change. There's a new change in the fact that we go from a single number to now 2 numbers. So it's the beginning of a new cycle. The hermit is the one who holds the lantern high for others to see. This card, the Hermit, is Virgo. It's all about analysis. We analyze things, and then we bring that analysis into life so others can understand. So the whole idea here is that the Hermit has found something, has found the light, and is holding that up for others to see. Light is information, so the Hermit is one who is sharing information. Implied in this card are the ideas of patience and timing. Okay? We need to be patient with things we're going to do in life. We have to understand that there's a timing to all things, and when we get in synchronicity with the timing of things, then we are more effective. When we try to do things out of sync with the timing of life, well, that's when we run into problems. So we have Virgo, the analyzer. Virgo is also a healer, a teacher. Virgo is analyzing. Aries wants to put things in order. So they could have some good working energy together. You got a fire sign that's moving around, and the earth sign, which is the Virgo, which brings some stability to the mix. So that's what's going on there. This morning, 11:26 a.m., the sign of Mars is going to enter into Mercury. So that's going to bring a dose of energy into Mercury's way of communicating. So we're certainly going to want to pay attention to what we're saying as it gets to mid-morning, closer to the noon hour. Later this afternoon, that moon sign officially moves into Virgo. We're still in the void, of course, and that is till 1:12 p.m. Pacific time. Then we fully move into Virgo. After that period of time, we have Mars is going to be trine with Virgo. So nice, good, positive, or with Mars and Virgo, excuse me. So Virgo, the analyzer, the teacher, the hermit, healer, is going to be a nice positive energy, the way it wants to express itself, use the energy available to it. So that brings some really good opportunities when we're energizing the analyzer in us. It could be good, investigations, figuring things out. So it might be an opportunity for us to really figure things out, or maybe just, find solutions to some problems that we have, because we have a trine, something positive is going on here. And later this evening, we have a block square. That's 10:42 p.m. And this is between Virgo and Saturn. Saturn wants us to discipline, to focus. And so we're really going to have to find a way to discipline maybe what it is we're sharing with others, maybe, the information that we're expressing. We want to find a way to hone it down even better. So good opportunities come with that. Look at the Planet Watcher website here today, see how everything's progressed around. Here's our sun still in Aries. Let's see how it's going to move slowly till it gets over to here. It has another half a month to go before it gets completely into Taurus, so you get an idea how it moves. Excuse me, here's the sun, there's Mars. So we could see how slowly it's moving along. Our moon sign right over here, moving from Leo into Virgo. And some of the others, you could see that they've been here for a while. So it's good to look at this, get an idea how everything moves. You can see when upcoming aspects are in, how long they've been. Okay, our date on the Jewish calendar, 11 Nisan, year 5775. Daily thought is no limits. People never got used to Egypt. They never felt that they belonged there. They never said, they are the masters and we are the slaves, and that's the way it is. So when Moses came and told them they were going to leave, they believed him. Everyone has their Egypt, but you've got to know who you are and what are your limitations. But heaven forbid to make peace with them. The soul within you knows no limits. All right, moon phase, almost to that full moon, 87% of the way there. Space weather, solar wind is 418.6 kilometers per second. Planetary K index, quiet in the 2 range. Coronal hose, oh my goodness, look at these. This one we certainly knew was there, but this one suddenly opened up a lot more than it had yesterday. So we're going to be feeling wind hitting us over the course of this next couple days, second, third. So moving on into the Passover Easter weekend. M-class flare possibilities jumping up to 25%. X-class is increasing to 5. Geomagnetic storm activity seems to be increasing a little bit, going from 20 to 25, and high latitude seems to be stationary, 15, 25, 30. So that's what's going on there. And up in the sky tonight, we're going to see our moon. Directly above the moon, we got Regulus, and the sickle of Leo is completely up there. We look up to the right, we're going to see Jupiter. It says the waxing gibbous moon shines beneath Regulus and the sickle of Leo early this evening. As shown at right, further upper right of the moon shines bright Jupiter. By late evening, it rotates to place Jupiter at the moon's right. Okay? And there you have it. That is what we're dealing with today. So we got Virgo, moon sign, analyzing things in the unconscious. We have the conscious mind, which is the emperor, wanting to put things in order. So let those two work well together and see how your world can be a bit more organized today. All right, UFO News is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Thank you, Dirk. Today, I have a number of stories, as always. The first one takes us to England. Donut UFO surprises family on a picnic in Bolton, England. Object in question right there. Family claimed their barbecue was interrupted by 4 UFOs zooming across the sky, quickly followed by the Ministry of Defense helicopter. Andrea Finney from Bolton, Lancashire, was enjoying a pleasant outdoor family meal with her husband Nigel and their son when the mysterious event left them spooked. The 48-year-old, who works in property management, told the Mirror Online that there were 4 of them. They zoomed across the sky. You just had to be there to see it. It was the strangest thing I'd ever seen in my life. They zoomed after we spotted them, and the craziest thing was they were just followed by the Ministry of Defense helicopter. I was just gobsmacked. Okay, so There's another view of this event, which we already talked about previous to today. Alright, NASA veteran claims Slender alien hitches ride on the space shuttle. Former NASA employee claims he spotted an alien standing approximately 9 feet tall who hitched a ride on the space shuttle. He further saw the strange creature having a quiet chat with astronauts. Many believe that this is conclusive evidence of the extensive global conspiracy where nations' leaders are in contact with aliens. However, others are less sure. In video released at a news site, C. Clark McClellan makes the claim about the tall alien. He says that he worked for 35 years at NASA and becomes part of the Apollo missions. As of this writing, no one has ever disputed this claim. A picture of him on the space shuttle also circulated online, which is conclusive enough to some people. McClellan said that he unexpectedly saw an alien that he described as gangly and slender. He explained he was monitoring a space shuttle mission during that time. To his surprise, he saw something different with 2 astronauts in the payload bay of the space shuttle. Interesting, he claims to have seen an alien ship parked nearby. Many people have ridiculed McClellan, saying he is nuts. Others, including UFO fans, believe that those who poke fun at him only want to spread disinformation, like the work of the Men in Black. He says he knows ET and alien aircraft and can identify any of the two. When he sees them, he believes the aliens have been on Earth and walking among humans. He suspects that many of these aliens have been implanted into different governments on the Earth. James, baffled by strange phenomena in the sky. James McRobbie has been seeing UFOs in his home for weeks, and many hover for long periods. The View Park man is desperate to know what has caused the strange lights to appear in the sky over his house for the last few weeks. While most people only looked skyward last week to try to see the eclipse, James McRobbie of Windsor Walk has been fascinated by something else. He noticed large lights appearing overhead several times around 10 p.m. for the last 3 weeks, but has thus far been unable to tell what is causing them. James showed the speaker a number of pictures he had taken while watching the lights, and while some resemble lightning, others are far more twisted and curly. He said, "The first I noticed the lights a few weeks ago, and they just keep reappearing, but I can't work out what they are. I don't drink, so I know I'm not seeing things. It's not lightning, and while the lights do sit and hover for several minutes, usually long enough for me to go out and get my camera, I don't think it's a helicopter, as there is no sound of an engine. There is no noise at all. I thought at first M&Ds had been putting on some sort of a laser show, but the theme park is still closed before the start of the season. The lights are actually far too down from Strathclyde Park to make M&Ds a likely candidate anyway, and they appear to originate from Uddingston itself." Okay, so very good. Move on to the next story here. Aztec, New Mexico. Authors return to Hart Canyon to discuss the UFO crash. Okay, here we have pictures of Scott and Susan Ramsey posed for a photo at their plaque marking the site of an alleged UFO crash Friday at the Hart Canyon in Aztec. Authors and UFO researchers Scott and Suzanne Ramsey returned to Aztec last week from their home in North Carolina to continue work for an expanded and updated edition of the couple's 2012 self-published book, The Aztec Incident: Recovery at Hart Canyon, New Mexico. After conducting more than a quarter of a century of research, the Ramseys, Susan Ramsey is from Farmington, once again traversed the sandstone mesas of Hart Canyon 8 miles northeast of Aztec to examine the area where believers say a UFO crash landed 67 years ago. Aztec's brush with alien life is purported to have occurred on March 25, 1948. "Really enjoyed visiting Hart Canyon again," Scott Ramsey said. "There were people out there on the alien run, bike trail, just a lot of people having fun. Roswell, the purported site of a UFO crash the year before Aztec, was a circus. With Aztec, it's nice. There's no neon lights, no inflatable green aliens floating around. We had a beautiful hike out to the plaque." The Ramseys installed the sign at the site in 2012. They believe there was a cover-up of the alleged saucer crash that involved the deaths of as many as 16 child-sized aliens, according to the pair of oil field workers who rushed to the Arkansas Loop area of the canyon after the fire was sighted near El Paso Oil Company drip tanks. The recovery of this craft by the U.S. government and the military was one of the most secretive recoveries of a spacecraft with unknown origins since the similar recoveries in Roswell 8 months earlier. The sign reads, the spacecraft was approximately 100 feet in diameter, 18 feet tall. It was one of the most intact crafts that the government had recovered at that time. Sadly, all occupants, as many as 16, died as a result of the crash, making the full disclosure of both purpose and origin all but impossible. But the Ramseys aren't about to concede defeat on the story. Scott Ramsey says Thursday that the new leads are out there and that all 13 chapters of the book will be significantly expanded in the new edition. He didn't offer any specifics, but he hinted a San Juan County commissioner or an Aztec city commissioner may have seen the flying saucer in 1948. The new book is more than an expanded version, Susan Ramsey said. We talk about the same topics, but we have all new information. It's not the same book at all. It's exciting. The Ramseys, who sold their first edition's entire run of 1,000 copies, have signed a contract with New York-based publisher Career Press for the new edition. The edition will be published in December, but the manuscript is due to the publisher by June 1st, so the Ramseys were pursuing leads in Arizona and around San Juan County this month. Finding evidence of alien life has taken the couple 26 states, as they have interviewed witnesses and their families, searched archives, and gathered documentation at a cost of more than $500,000. It's been 27 years of research, which originally started after I heard about the saucer crash. I said I'd get to the bottom of it in 6 months. That burns me every time, Scott Ramsey said on Thursday morning, laughing. We were brought up by parents who always said, go out, ask questions, do your research, and do your homework. We surrounded ourselves with scientists and historians. We don't go for the tin foil hat conferences. Nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, who has researched UFOs since '58 and who wrote the foreword to the Aztec incident, applauds the Ramseys' search and evidence of what really happened at Hart Canyon in '48. They've done an incredible amount of research, and their objectivity and persistence, Friedman said on Friday from his office in New Brunswick, Canada. Everybody assumed that Aztec was a joke, but they really dug into it. I switched from being ready to accept the notion that it's baloney to being a believer. All right, so go check out their book. Check out their info. Ramsey's very, very nice folks. I've gotten to know them when I was out there during my times going to the Aztec UFO conventions conference out there, and I've met them. Very, very nice, very informative book. So check it out. And the new book will be out soon, later this year. All right, then one more. This is an article. It's called How the Anunnaki Took Control of Humanity. Thought this might be a good, interesting read. It's from Greg Prescott. According to Robert Morningsky, just about everything you have been taught is a lie, including your true galactic heritage, religion, and following the light upon death. Robert's Hopi and Apache lineage ties together the missing pieces of what our indoctrination facilities, otherwise known as schools and churches, do not tell us and do not want us to know. In general, Morningsky's genetic lineage follows Zechariah Hitchens' story, but not completely. This is indeed a slave planet where we've been genetically modified to become subservient slaves to our masters. While most of the controlling extraterrestrials on this planet are benevolent, we have received help from benevolent Pleiadians who are trying to help EA undo what the reptilians, the Syrians, and the malevolent Anunnaki have set up on this planet for us. This is part of the untold story from a New Mexico UFO crash around the Four Corners area of the United States in August 1947. Apparently 6 Apache Indians on a vision quest, including Morningstar's grandfather, received the lone surviving Pleiadian called Star Elder. This particular Pleiadian used crystals to project images to communicate the history of our solar and mankind itself. According to Morningsky, the light at the end of the tunnel leads to the soul regression center, where your soul becomes trapped in the reincarnation cycle on this planet. In order to continue serving those entities who are in charge of Mother Earth, this was put in place by the reptilians, who were given free reign of the planet in order to get people to go into the tunnel of light. To those who are religious, the story may rock your boat. According to Morning Sky, the Syrians are responsible for all religions in order to control man. The Anunnaki Enlil appointed himself as God on this planet, despite his brother E, as in EA from Earth, and sister being responsible for the genetic creation of mankind. Enlil is the same God that is the Old Testament of the Bible. If you appease Enlil, or follow God's commandments, you will be rewarded with your place in heaven. The problem is your vision in heaven is the same soul regeneration cycle as spoken above, so you will continue reincarnating as a slave, as you have done many times before, and your memory will be erased from all previous lifetimes. Okay, also, so we have two brothers here. This is important. Definitely important info here. What we have is we have the two brothers, Enlil and Enki. Enlil, or excuse me, yeah, Enki and his sister were the ones who genetically modified humankind. You've heard this story before. Enlil was the brother of Enki. Enlil is the one who wanted to enslave humanity. Enki did not like that idea, and therefore we ran into the problem. Enlil, as you just heard here, is the same as the God of the Old Testament, Yahweh. Also the same as the tablets and the books I've been reading from the Nag Hammadi, which is the same as Yaldabaoth. So whatever way you look at it, we have a story that tells planet Earth is a place that was created by a falling being, whether it's Enlil or whether it is Yaldabaoth or Yahweh, all the same being. Okay? Just wanted to bring that your attention so we all are on the same page. Continuing on, it says the etymology of the word also plays an important role in today's society. For example, Zu, ultimate master. Zu, S-U, is a master. Hence, Isu, teachers. Isu, Jesus, Jesus. Okay, and then it said how the word was changed. It said the Isu, which was changed to EU, Yahweh, and Jehovah. The Isu planted deep clues within caves and caverns all around the planet to help us remember who we are and how to get out of this system. Some say the Isu are even responsible for building the pyramids and the face on Mars. The biblical story tells us that Jesus is God's son, but the truth is that Ea's firstborn son, Marduk, proclaimed himself God and was called Amen-Ra. He told the slaves that he was the one and only God, and even changed the stela hieroglyphs and the pyramid descriptions to reflect his authority while removing the existence of all previous gods. In addition, he eliminated everyone who did not pledge their allegiance to him. The etymology of Marduk is as follows. Marduk would be the son of Duke. Marduk is the son of the Syrian god, literally the son of a bitch. As part of the genetic experiment, EA and his sister gave the humans free will. Despite this, some humans went back to the slave system because this was all they knew. Does this sound familiar? In today's society, most people are clueless that they are actually economic slaves to the same system. In exchange for going back to the system, Enlil ensures them that if they obeyed, they would be redeemed in the afterlife. After being removed from his position by his brother Enlil, EA subsequently experimented with sexual response of his reproductions by cranking up their libidos, which is why the average person thinks about sex every 10 minutes. This was done in order to rebel against Enlil's hierarchy. Despite these experiments done to appease the Orion reptilian queen, EA was still frustrated that he had created a beast who was unaware and had no passion or consciousness. At this point, he was approached by a being from another galaxy outside of the system. These particular beings in the revolution left the need for their own physical bodies and learned to use internal energy to climb the mountain. They didn't need a rope. They didn't need a ship. They were able to use their own energy. And as they used more and more internal energy, they needed less density. So these beings from another galaxy were able to generate an evolutionary formula and plugged in a bird, a humanoid bird. As they evolved, these beings lost their density. They lost their need for a physical body, but they liked bonking. For courtship purposes, they retained their wings, but in the dark, there's no sunlight. The energy beings glowed. They came to Prince E and said, do you really want to give them independence? Do you really want to give them free will? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give you one of your own strands of DNA. If you had wired into the beast, you're going to condemn him to passion, to inexplicable fire. Prince EA said in a second, and he took the DNA and went to the beast and hardwired it into the beast. Suddenly the beast was linked to another race in another galaxy. Suddenly he was aware, he was conscious. These beings were called the Aku. The gift that was given to Prince EA that was placed inside the beast was known as the gift of the feather. The Aku said to Prince EA, please let your beasts know this. We're going to include a hardwired clue into the stranded DNA so they will know, because they have never experienced this, they will know how and when they are in touch with your passion. When you're one with the fire, here's what's going to happen. To the beast, he's going to see the feathers. They're going to manifest in front of them. He's going to dream about feathered beings, and he's going to have feathered beings in his life. Birds will fly in. Suddenly the feather is going to become a crucial part of his existence. The gift of the feather is this. You're one with your fire. Feathers are going to be falling out of the sky. You're going to dream about feathered beings. Birds are going to appear. Feathers are going to appear in the middle of your living room floor. Feathers will be everywhere. It is the Aku. They become known as Lord EA's lords. Prince EA's title was Enki, Lord of the Birds. EA's lords were the Enkanites, the Ankanas, angels who were responsible for the gift that came from them. Prince EA, eldest son of the Syrian king, responsible for the lordship of planet Earth and the solar system in his neck of the woods. Prince EA took his own DNA and mixed it with the beast's. In doing so, the beast became the son of the Lord Creator. He was the offspring of the God of the creation himself. Lord EA endowed us with his own DNA and with the right of royalty. We can assume the damn throne of the planet Earth and our own solar system. The system said, Jesus Christ, don't let them know the story, because 51% of them stand up and said, I am mad and I'm not going to take it anymore. I want the aliens out. I want the Greys out. I want the right to the throne of this planet. We're going to take over. We have a right to do it. And you know what? We're going to make a free-willed, passionate, all-loving empire. The system doesn't want it. The current administrators of the empire government on the planet have lineage back to the Orion hybrids. While the money was given to R.A., Marduk's children, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. As you can see, the names are Rockefeller, Raka, Pharaohs, and Rothschild, Rakama, from the Rothschilds, are part of this war on consciousness. Morning Sky added, there is a war and we are the prize. Alright, and there's some more down here if you want to get into some extra videos. Says, for the record, these are not my words, these are Robert Morning Sky's. What he says makes a lot of sense, but with anything and everything, please use your own discernment. Okay, so it's not really such a stretch for us to understand that, because we see the same story over and over. So whether it is Yaldabaoth, whether it is Enlil and Enki, whether it is Yahweh, same story, same characters involved. So that's part of the trick, right? Unsolving, unwrapping what's going on so we can see who the players are. That is our UFO news. I'll be back just a few moments. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
continue on. Continue on. So, I wanted to delve into the blood moon tetrad a little bit more today. I gave you a little info yesterday, just kind of refresh your memory since the last time we talked about it. So, let's jump into it here. I've got 4 articles on the subject. History of the 8 blood moon tetrads since Christ and how we know what happens next. Okay, so we've had these 2 already here. First one was Passover last year, then Sukkot. So now this next one coming up here happened on Nisan 1. We had this moon, and now we have the one on Passover coming up, and then Sukkot again. These are the 2 we're preparing for. There's been a total of 8 blood red moon tetrads since the time of Christ, including the upcoming set in 2014-2015. Each one is significant, and this is an amazing sign that confirms that we are on the verge of the return of Christ and the period the Bible calls the Great Tribulation. We can know, and I will show you through this study, signs of the times or not. Many are divided on the blood moon tetrads and whether they have any prophetic importance. So the purpose of this page is to arm the reader with some historical information on past tetrads, the future tetrad, and what a tetrad is. We need to be equipped to better understand for ourselves what the 2014-2015 tetrad is all about and what we can expect. The picture above is of the upcoming tetrad 2014-2015. Some are saying that it is incorrect and not Almighty God's correct calendar. So from the very start, we need to look for ourselves at what happened around the past tetrads to see if we can get any idea of what can expect with this one starting in the Jewish spring of 2014. Of course, there are also many that see the tetrads as very significant to the Jewish people, the nation of Israel, with future expectations around the next tetrad. So what is a blood moon tetrad? Blood moon tetrad is when there are 4 consecutive total lunar eclipses which fall on Jewish high holy days. The significance of the history of the blood moon tetrad is not in the fact that there are simple eclipses, but that 4 in a row fall on Jewish feast days. It says 4 partial lunar eclipses occur on the Jewish Passover, 32 AD through 33 AD, and the Feast of Tabernacles in the years before and after the crucifixion of Yeshua HaMashiach. The world has since witnessed 7 tetrads coinciding with events impacting Jewish and Christian culture. And here we have a nice good graph of all the different tetrads that have occurred. Okay, and then explanation of what they were. The first one, 62 to 63, occurred in the Jewish Passover and Feast of Tabernacles in 162 and 163 AD, coinciding with the worst persecution of Jews and Christians in the history of the Roman Empire. Within 3 years, the Antonine Plague killed more than 8 million people, a third of the population. 795 and 796, 4 total lunar eclipses occurred on the Jewish Passover and Yom Kippur holidays. During these years, while King Charlemagne of the Holy Roman Empire established a DMZ buffer zone between France and Spain, ending centuries of Arab invasions into Western Europe. 4 total lunar eclipses occurred on the Jewish Passover and Yom Kippur holidays in 842 and 843. Shortly after the eclipses, the Vatican Church in Rome was attacked and looted by Islamic invasion from Africa. 4 total lunar eclipses occurred on the Jewish Passover and Yom Kippur holidays between 860 and 61 AD. Shortly after the eclipses, the Byzantine Empire defeated Arab armies at the Battle of Lalakalonen in Turkey and permanently stopped the Islamic invasion of Eastern Europe. 4 total lunar eclipses occurred on the Jewish Passover and the Feast of Trumpets holiday in 1493 and 1494, only months after King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain ordered all Jewish people to leave the country. After about 200 AD, Spain became and remained a second Jewish homeland for well over a millennia. So deeply woven into the fabric of Spain are the Jews that neither history can fully be studied without considering the influence of the other. In the same month in which their Majesties, Ferdinand and Isabella, issued the edict that all Jews should be driven out of the kingdom and its territories, in the same month they gave the order to undertake with sufficient men my expedition of discovery to the Indies. So begins Christopher Columbus's diary. The expulsion that Columbus refers to was so cataclysmic an event that ever since the date 1942 has almost been as important in Jewish history as in American history. On July 30th of that year, the entire Jewish community, some 200,000 people, were expelled from Spain. Tens of thousands of refugees died while trying to reach safety. In some instances, Spanish ships' captains charged Jewish passengers exorbitant sums, then dumped them overboard in the middle of the ocean. In the last days before the expulsion, rumors spread throughout Spain that the fleeing refugees had swallowed gold and diamonds, and many Jews were knifed to death by brigands hoping to find treasures in their stomachs. 1492 is the same year that the Jews were expelled from Spain, and Christopher Columbus amazingly discovered America, which is home today to more than 5 million Jews outside Israel, like Mordecai said to Esther, "Help will come in another way," and America was blessed by God. More important, we believe that America's purpose was to protect Israel and offer a safe haven for the Jewish people. However, the question is, how long will America still continue this in our day? Then we have 1949 and 50. 4 total lunar eclipses occurred on the Jewish Passover and the Feast of Tabernacles during 49 through 50. During the first Arab-Israeli War for Independence, just after Israel became a nation again for the first time in 2,000 years. It should be noted here that even though Israel declared itself a nation in 1948, the first permanent government took office January 25, 1949. Israel had a transitional government in 48, and in this way, the tetrad, 4 blood moons, can tie to the year 1949 for the first elected office of the year, and the birth year could still be 1948. On the 14th of May, 1948, Israel proclaimed its independence. Less than 24 hours later, the regular armies of Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq invaded the country, forcing Israel to defend the sovereignty it had regained in its ancestral homeland. In what became known as Israel's War of Independence, the newly formed, poorly equipped Israel Defense Forces, or the IDF, repulsed the invaders in fierce, intermittent fighting, which lasted some 15 months and claimed 6,000 Israeli lives, nearly 1% of the country's Jewish population at the time. During the first month of 1949, direct negotiations were conducted under United Nations auspices between Israel and each of the invading countries, resulting in armistice agreements which reflected the situation at the end of the fighting. According to Coastal Plain, Galilee, and the entire Negev were within Israel's sovereignty. Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, come under the Jordanian rule, and the Gaza Strip came under the Egyptian administration, and the city of Jerusalem was divided, with Jordan controlling the eastern part, including the Old City, and the Israel Western sector. And then we have 67 through 68. 4 total lunar eclipses occurred between the Jewish Passover and the Feast of Tabernacles in 67 and 68, coinciding with the 6-day war when Israel recaptured Jerusalem. As Israel's neighbors prepared to destroy the Jewish state, Israel invoked its inherent right of self-defense, launching a preemptive strike on June 5, 1967 against Egypt in the south. It was followed by a counterattack against Jordan in the east and the routing of Syrian forces entrenched on the Golan Heights of the north. At the end of the 6 days of fighting, previous ceasefire lines were replaced by new ones, with Judea, Samaria, Gaza, and Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights under Israel's control. At the time, the northern villages were freed from 19 years of recurrent Syrian shelling. The passage of Israel and the Israel-bound shipping through the Straits of Tiran was ensured, and Jerusalem, which had been divided under Israel and Jordanian rule since 1949, was reunified under Israel's authority. So here we have a little summary here of all that happened. The persecution of the Jews and Christians, then the Rome and Israel battle for dominance, then the Vatican's attacked Islam is unable to advance into Europe. The Jews are expelled from Spain. The birth of the New World. The rebirth of Israel. Freedom from the Arabs. The 6-Day War. Okay, so you can go through here. That's the past. Here's another site here. Blood Moon TETRADS. As God said, let there be light in the firmament of the heaven to divide the night from the day, and let them be for the seasons, for days, and for years. And it talks about the signs that we'll see. Here's a summary that we just looked at of what went on during these moons. So this is another good place to read. Friday solar eclipse linked to Fateful 1492 blood moon. This Friday's exceedingly rare solar eclipse has astronomical relationships to the Fateful 1492 blood moon, according to root source in their second major revelation in recent days. Friday's total solar eclipse is a direct descendant of an earlier eclipse that touched land in the New World during the middle of 1492 Alhambra decree that ordered the expulsion of the Jews from Spain. Co-founder Robert Deal, the Breaking Israel News. Eclipses run in families, referred to by NASA as the Saros cycle, which repeats every 18 years. In 11 days, root source traced Friday's unusual eclipse directly to an eclipse that took place in April 1942. There's been a growing interest recently in the blood moons, which have been occurring uninterruptedly on the Jewish holidays of Passover and Sukkot of 2014 and 2015. Okay, so there's that, and one more. This one here says blood moon of Passover, one missing detail. A significant event is currently taking place, which will never occur again. Much has been written about the 4 blood moons of 2014-2015. These blood moons occur on Passover and the Feast of Tabernacles in 2014 and will again in 2015. There are solar eclipses in between the two occurring on the 1st of Nisan. Fox News reports a rare occurrence. In fact, the tetrad occurring on Jewish holy days has only happened 3 times in the past 5,000 plus years. And this one more thing, in the tetrad, a solar eclipse will also take place. Okay, so here, Fox News is reporting that it's happened 3 times. Okay, just to show you that Fox News is wrong about stuff. Okay, the first article I showed you, it showed you 7 times that this has occurred since the time of Christ. Okay, so Fox News wants you to believe that only happened 3 times, but I've just shown you several other reports that verify 7 other times that this occurred. So again, Fox News is throwing some disinformation in here. Just want you to be aware that in all things Fox, they lie. All right, so there you go. So there's a bunch of good information about the upcoming blood moon, the significance of what it could be. It's very fascinating that it shows up every one of these times on Passover. So we shall see. So we've got Passover this weekend, this Saturday. Friday is Good Friday, and then Sunday is Easter. So we have a full weekend full of really intense spiritual activity. Usually we get Passover and Easter at different times, right? They're usually sometimes as much as 2 weeks apart. So this is interesting how everything's kind of all grouped together, and we'll see how it all unfolds. That's really all we can do, right? Look to the skies, because you never know what we might see. I think this is the time of life where we'll see some really interesting things if we just keep paying attention to the skies. All right, here's an article about awakening. It says, Awakening 101, What You Need to Know. Michelle Welling. One day you begin to realize that there is something really wrong with the way we are living on the planet. Land of the free, home of the brave seem to be out of reach in America. Now that you are spiritually awakened and aware that your whole world is upside down and backwards, where do you go from here? I recently completed a radio show with Fernando Vosa on this topic called Awakening 101. The best I can do is to help those who are waking up, is to share my experience and the experience of others on the In5D's Cosmic Awakening show, as well as in articles on In5D. Everyone will have their own unique experience. However, we have also similar things that happen that the majority of people on the planet do not have an understanding of. Doctors, school teachers, and the like are programmed to feed the agenda, and it seems to be a lonely world once you begin to see the truth of what is happening around you. This is where Facebook, as well as other sites like Google Plus and YouTube, can be helpful. You can search for about anything these days to find information about some of the questions you may be having. It is important to use discernment by taking what feels right at any given moment and learning to trust your body signals with practice. So, in Awakening 101, here are the topics covered. Awareness means to be conscious awareness of your thoughts. Gratitude, healing. I'm just going to go through the list. Community, vibration, love, declaration of sovereignty, thoughts, synchronicity, fear, patterns and cycles, grounding, meditation, ascension syndrome, intention, co-creation, friends and family, New Age trap, and discernment. So we've certainly addressed all of these at one time or another, because we've definitely addressed articles that Michelle has put out, and so we're very familiar with all of these ideas. You know, all of this to me, it all seems that so much of this information kind of points back to the same place. You know, we start to read about the Anunnaki, and we find out that we're getting information that was in the Nag Hammadi. We're reading through the Nag Hammadi, and we find that there's bits and pieces throughout the Bible. There's bits and pieces in these extraterrestrial stories, or we find out about meditation, and we find bits and pieces there. And it's like we had all this information at one source, and it just seems as if it was scattered everywhere. And we find bits and pieces of information that end up in places that, you know, are quite surprising at times. All right, here's our message for today. It comes to us from the angels.
Message from the angels.
March 28, 2015. Channeled by Ann Albers.
The angels.
My dear friends, we love you so very much. Release yourself from the bondage of expectations, dear ones. By all means, have intentions, goals, dreams, desires, and wishes, but then release life and yourself from expectation and live now. Make the best and happiest choices you can make now. When life does not look as you expect, bless it anyway. When you do not feel as you expect, bless yourself anyway. There is far too much time on earth wasted in resisting life. There is far too much energy spent wondering what should be, rather than dealing with what is. There is so much agony over what isn't going according to plan rather than surrendering to a higher plan. So look forward to the unexpected. Allow yourself to get up every morning and pray. Dear God, dear angels, this is what I would like to happen today. I ask for your help and release my expectations as to how this must look. I trust that everything that comes my way today is in divine and perfect order. Then, dear ones, live that way. No matter what happens, remind yourself, I am loved. I can make the next most loving choice. In this reality you are dancing with love, flowing with life, free to move forward without resistance or attachment to how you think life must look. This, dear ones, is freedom, the freedom to choose love in each moment. Try it this week. Allow yourselves to be free from expectation. Set your intentions. Pray for your dreams and desires. And then, dance with life. God bless you. We love you so very much. The angels.
All right, good message. It really kind of talks about the whole principles of manifestation that, you know, we often address. I mean, it's pretty simple, isn't it? We think about what we want, and the more we put into it the love and the proper expression, we get what we want. The universe gives us whatever. So if we have doubts, the universe gives us back our doubts. So when we learn to eliminate the doubts and just accentuate the positive of what we want, the quicker we manifest things in our lives. And I know that you see that, and I see that. And so we all get better and better at it each and every day, the more that we practice. And I find that for me, this information is just a good reminder, because sometimes those reminders are needed on a daily basis to know that there are others out there that we're all kind of, moving along the same direction, and we need to remind each other from time to time just things we need to do. All right, here's the next passage in the Warrior of Light. This is page 54. The Warrior of the Light sits around a fire with his companions. They talk about his conquests, and any stranger who joins the group are made welcome because everyone is proud of his life and his good fight. The warrior speaks enthusiastically about the path. He tells how he's resisted a particular challenge, or speaks of the solution he found to one especially difficult situation. When he tells stories, he invests his words with passion and romance. Sometimes he exaggerates a little. He remembers that at times his ancestors used to exaggerate too. That is why he does the same thing, but he never confuses pride with vanity, and he never believes his own exaggerations. So let's go to our meditation. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale. Another deep breath, and just imagine as this breath, exhale, moves through your body. Just imagine your body relaxing. And just keep breathing slowly, and imagine this relaxing feeling coming up from your toes, through your feet, ankles, up your lower legs to your knees, by your thighs, continuing up into the low back, stomach, chest, shoulders, arms, neck, head, and just feel completely relaxed. And from this place of relaxation, imagine looking around at the world and notice how you see the world in a different way when you're relaxed and calm. And then you look around and you see others who seem to be quite tense, and you notice the way that they are observing the world. And so you send over to them some of your calmness. And as you do, you see that they become much calmer and peaceful, and the way in which they view the world becomes much simpler. And they in turn share this with others, until one by one we see all the tensions disappearing. And we see people around the earth, across this planet, from end to end, we see them relaxed, peaceful, making better decisions. So as we go through the world today, let's just be focused on being relaxed. Being relaxed and calm so we can see the situations for what they are, and therefore make better decisions about what we're going to do about the way that things are. So let the subconscious mind continue on that journey of relaxation, peacefulness. Let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is the show for today. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that you take the time to watch the show each and every day. Thanks again for your comments, for your emails. I really appreciate that as well. Have an awesome day, and just keep having fun out there. Life's too short. There's too much craziness to get all caught up in all the nonsense. We can do that. But then when all is said and done, we look back at our past experiences where we were miserable, we find that all we had to do is change our thoughts to be happy. So let's change our thoughts. Let's be happy. Let's just have fun with what we've got going on in life. Leave all the tension and anxiety and worry to, well, let's just let it go. Maybe it'll all disappear. Wouldn't that be awesome? Anyway, that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great afternoon, rest of your day. I love you. Keep loving each other. Peace. I'm out of here.